all kinds of point of views should be heard and should be entertained, because only then will there be a growth as a country. If we keep brushing under the carpet things that happen and giving them a hue of, romanticism, or a hue of, just coloring it one color, then we are bound to repeat those mistakes again and again. We have to learn from our history.
Good evening, this is Mandusha Radhakrishnan. I'm the entertainment editor for Gulf News. I'm here with actor, director and producer. Can I call?
Oh, yes.
Yes, producer Randeep, Hooda.
Co-writer.
And co-writer. He wears multiple hats, and his movie premiered it did not premiere, it was screened actually at the IFFI Goa, which is ongoing right now. Randeep, it's a huge honor for you, right, to have an opening night film that's or everybody is forward.
In the Indian panorama, and because it's already released, but I'm very grateful and honored that it was the opening film, and it was very well received. People were clapping and laughing and doing all sorts of things in the theater, which is very heartening to watch as not just an actor but as a storyteller who's engaging people. So it was a very good screening, and I'm very grateful.
Right, and what an interesting choice of subjects in this biopic. He has chronicled the life of Savarkar. An interesting choice. How do you think people will perceive you directing it? Would people think that you've sold out?
No, it's a subject. If I was to make a movie on Mr. Nehru, would that be set out? I think he was as much a freedom fighter as any one of them, probably greater. And also he's a very controversial and misunderstood freedom fighter, which also gave me a lot of fuel to discover new things, and myself as an actor, filmmaker, and also to bring it forth to people, because there are many point of views. I state in the beginning of the movie that we have all been taught that India got its freedom only by non-violence. This is not that story. And it is an incomplete story if you say that India only got its freedom through non-violence, because there were a lot of thousands of people who were hung or jailed or exiled in our country. If they did not matter, then why were they punished so severely, whereas the non-violent people were put in brush jails, and it's a whole thing. I discovered a whole politics and whole point of view of which you're looking at history. So it was a big challenge, and there was a fear that that I was so loud and all those things, and a lot of people
Sarprized,
especially from the present day Congress party, which even they've been maligning him for years. So that was expected. But the movie was received very well.
Excellent.
Received to applauses and full theatres across India. And we did good business. And so I don't think that really matters, because it's after all a film. If a subject can make you a sellout, then okay, great.
Right. No, but I have to say, yesterday Shekhar Kapoor at the opening ceremony said we live in a very highly polarized world. Tell your stories. Whether it's good, bad, ugly, doesn't matter. Tell your stories. Don't you think, in a weird way, independent cinema, or let's say a film festival, it has a bandwidth for different kinds of stories? Like,
yes,
it's not just an example for that.
All kinds of point of views should be heard and should be entertained, because only then will there be a growth as a country. If we keep brushing under the carpet things that happened and giving them a hue of, romanticism, or a hue of, just coloring it one color, then we are bound to repeat those mistakes again and again. We have to learn from our history, and people who don't learn from history repeat it again and again. I'm telling you what the environment was in the country in 1920 when the Khilafat movement happened, and there was a different electorate given to the Muslim population, and given extra seats in the house of the interim government. That kind of appeasement that kept multiplying, leading to the division of the country, and it is the same politic that is played today, whichever side it is. Even his Hindutva was for independence. He gave a political and geographical and cultural identification to who is a Hindu. And he did not make a distinction or in terms of your caste or your religion, as long as you love your country and you call it your motherland, your fatherland, and the land of your spirituality.
Okay.
So that is more of a lesson what we need today than just that. And just being okay, non-violence. It's a very romantic thought.
Right.
Even Savarkar Sahab felt that Buddha is the biggest apostle to walk this planet, but he respects him deeply and reveres him, but he doesn't agree with him because the world is not a painting of green mountains and blue streams. It has people with red fangs. So how do you deal with those people?
Right.
So he felt that the way to peace is to be equally armed as other people. And in fact, his militarization was lauded by the army generals of India after the defeat or humiliation we faced by China, because we did not concentrate on building up our armed forces to protect our borders.
Right.
And today we are respected as a country, not only because we've got great diplomacy, but because we are armed to the teeth and nobody messes with us. We are producing weapons and we are selling weapons. Like, it's a joke. I often think that the members of the Peace Council, UN Peace Council, they're all weapon makers.
I mean, about politics. It's the guns lobby that actually fund the campaign.
Yeah, there are wars going on because wars need madness. But Savarkar felt that when the Hiroshima Nagasaki bomb happened, he says, "Hinsa to kitne hinsa." We took to violence to attain our freedom, not to destroy the humanity and destroy the world. That was not their aim. And I think it's about time we start telling the other side of our story, which does not give us an apunsak image in the world that if you slap us on one cheek, we put the other cheek forward. No, we will not. Think about it and we'll break your jaw. That kind of thought process is what leads to people respecting you. And that's what Savarkar Sahab advocated throughout his life. He did not hate Mr. Gandhi. He hated the idea of non-violence because non-violence does not have the provision for even self-defense.
Did you also as a person change with this directorial? Because I feel you're so invested in it. You have done your research, you've done your legwork. You're not coming from a place of vanity. It's not a vanity project. Yeah, none of your projects are vanity projects. If you're in a movie, Randeep, it's because I feel truly believe in it. You want to be a part of it. With this one as well, did you feel as invested? And there must be a point, right? As a filmmaker, we're here, like, what did I do? Like, why am I in this? Was it frustrating? How frustrating?
The frustrating was the process of making, because I did not have like-minded people who started the project, and that was the biggest folly on the entire process. But I knew it was a controversial subject. But I had to make it with a lot of responsibility. And it was unfortunate that it got released in the election time, because I wanted to release it on 15th August and on 26th January, but we were going through litigation and all kinds of stuff that people, I don't know, talk about stuff. And it so happened that the movie finished and we were in the middle of election by that time. And that the opposition party, they gave it a hue of it being a propaganda film. And if it's a propaganda film, then why didn't anybody help me? I got no organizational support.
I assumed you did. I thought it was like at a walk in the park for you.
No, it wasn't. I had to send I had to stir in my own house to finish the film.
That's terrible though. I assumed.
Everybody assumed.
Apologize for that, because while I was walking, I was like, oh, this must have been the easiest thing where you're funded. So I support that this he should for.
No organizational support. None whatsoever.
So you mortgaged your house for this movie?
Yes. And I made it back. I got it back. It was just purely on the quality of the movie and people's curiosity. And I really made it for young people that, hey, the maligning of this character and the uneducated name-calling and not knowing so many other freedom fighters who played a very important part in our freedom struggle, they were all brushed under the carpet. So this was a challenge in that sense, and I wish I had some organizational support. I wish I had that. It would have made my life easier, but then neither was Mr. Savarkar's life easy. It's very hard to own Mr. Savarkar. It's very hard to own up to him, though You know, even our parliament, the new parliament was inaugurated on his birthday.
Yes.
But still, there was no support that came our way, and I just fought a lone battle.
Or have you emerged stronger from it or more tough?
Oh yes,
Or exhausted?
I started as just an actor, you know, as actors are children.
They're narcissistic and happily so.
Well, some of them are. And then by the time I finished the project, I was a director, I was a writer, I was a producer, I had a fucking company. I had a company by the time this movie finished. And I've got a turnover in that company, and all of a sudden, so all that struggle struggle is the one that leads to growth.
Yes.
So maybe Mr. Savarkar came into my life and made it tough for me to do this project, to probably teach me more in my life, and that's how I take it. And also his life, towards the end of his life, he went unrecognized when he was falsely accused in the Gandhi assassination. And they accused him because once he's accused, then it's a Hindu that killed Gandhi, not an individual.
And then, of course, then
it became, all the world's newspapers said, Hindu kills Mahatma, which was not true. It was an individual who took it upon himself. He was a part of Hindu Mahasabha, but he was no longer a part of Hindu Mahasabha, and Mr. Savarkar had nothing to play in it. But when
you're going misunderstood, right?
by identifying him, there were three major political parties at that time, and I am not really a political person, to tell you the truth, but this is what I have learned. There were three major political parties at that time. The Indian National Congress, which is not this Congress, this is the 72nd division of that Congress, that is the present Congress. And there was the Hindu Mahasabha. These were the three major national parties that are competing for power to take India forward as a free nation. So Muslim League went to Pakistan, right?
Yeah.
And when they vilified Savarkar in this case, he was later on let go, after another year he spent in prison and free India, Hindu Mahasabha was decimated. So there was only one party left, which was Indian National Congress again, and they won unopposed in 1952, which was actually the first election of our country. The first time around, they were just appointed by these all British educated lawyers. They appointed each other as Prime Minister, Defense Minister.
But I think you're more stronger for sure on this.
Yes. Now is it unsung part of it?
Yes.
Yes, I unsung part of it. This movie got a lot of love, but it should have gotten a lot more love, and it will, because after all this time, after the Savarkar Sadhar is gone, he's still relevant in India in the discourse. So will this movie be.
And I know, of course. And if how did your marriage survive this?
He was very supportive, and she does her own thing. So she lets me out of the house and say, "Come back when you're done," and all that. And she saw my whole struggle with the weight and this and that, and that it was not. It was just my wife. I was married to my crew and my cast as well, because you're all so thick as thieves, because you're all trying to make something. So that's something that matters.
And being showcased at IFFI, I think, is something you should be really proud of, I think, Randeep, because a lot of people actually talk about it. The choice of selection I think the year before that, it was controversial again. The Kashmir Files came out, right? So people do talk about it.
Kashmir Files is a different movie. Yeah. It's made differently.
Yeah.
And this is not that kind of a movie for sure. It's a biopic, to say the least. And even if Kashmir Files was there, it was wrong for the jury to point it out, because somebody's made a movie and you cannot like it. But to point it out in the final speech by the jury, and was absolutely, I didn't like that at all. I haven't seen the movie, but I didn't like it at all, that because it's somebody's vision.
And it's subjective.
It's subjective, and you're an artist.
These are so subjective.
You're an artist yourself, so that was very disrespectful, I thought.
No, but I'm so happy that the reviews are there and people are watching it. And the movie released last April, so that's done. But now I hope you take it around the festivals around the globe. I'm surprised that it released and they still chose it, because they have this cutoff, right? The movie can't release.
It's in the panorama section, which is unfortunate, because I really wanted to
win competition.
Yeah, to win competitions across the globe, but it was just, it gets a thing. And then, of course, there is this whole thing of, a world is going through violence, and, we need non-violence. But our movie does not glorify violence. It says glorifying violence for a purpose. Even Gandhiji did it in the First World War. he recruited people for the Indian Army. Second World War, Savarkarji recruited people. Gandhiji he made a medical ancillary force against the Zulus with the British. So Savarkarji asked him questions. So what is it? You supporting violence is violence. Or is it subjective? So he had a lot of, he was very intellectual and and in the course of his life, he did also become a bit bitter because he was not getting his due and the people with better marketing skills were getting ahead.
But you made a movie out of him, so he's done something right.
Yes. And I've got his bust in my office. Sometimes I go walk past it and I go, my God, I have played that man. You know, I made a movie on that man and it's amazing. In Pune, I'll tell you, where in Maharashtra, which he wrote in Marathi and he spoke in Marathi a lot. So he put, unlike Mr. Gandhi, who had a lot of tutors to teach him to get rid of his Gujarati accent and his British accent, he stuck to his old roots. So he got limited to Maharashtra a little. But in Maharashtra, there were old people who come touch my feet and they found out that I've sold my house and they'll come give me money. It was very embarrassing and flattering, but it was...
There's also their love, right? I mean, it's also a sign from a civilian coming up to you. It's not a shade review.
There are a lot of people who were closet people who like Savarkar more than Mr. Gandhi. There are a lot of such people, but it's just probably not cool.
It's not cool. Yeah. And history is how it's your personal.
History is written by the hunter. If the lion wrote the history, he'll say, "Kisne pehli goli mari, it missed me, his hands were shaking, he was peeing in his pants, and then his friend shot me. He's taking a picture with me."
Well done. I'm so proud of you, though. And I really hope it does well and it gets a lot of love. On that great note, I really hope you continue to entertain us and make interesting movies with unique voices.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.